Oh, welcome back again. It's your boy G Bush in the building. Of course, it's the barbershop on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show YouTube channel. Let's go. Let me clear my throat a little bit. No, take that off. Let me clear my throat a little bit. Your boy G Bush is back, ready to go. And I'm excited to be up in here today because I think this is a very exciting week for the Cleveland Browns. We're gonna see what they're made of. We're gonna go through a whole lot of stuff today. Of course, we're gonna get into this game, Rams versus the Browns. I'll tell you about the storylines we're gonna get into. Definitely a must-win. You see it from the storyline right here. Must-win situation for the Cleveland Browns, in my opinion. Must-wins, and I'll tell you why. Everybody be wrong about must-wins. People they be out lost in the soup when it comes to talking about whether it's a must-win or not. We'll get to that. Also, coming up, I'm going to tell you why I think Joe Flacco going to play well. Not only do I think Joe Flacco is going to play well, I believe Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback moving forward for the rest of the year for the Cleveland Browns. I'll tell you how we get to that conclusion, what that looks like, and why I'm so confident in what Joe Flacco could bring to the table. We'll talk about that in this show. Also, one thing that we've been plagued for the entire year is Kevin Stefanski has been Jekyll and Hyde. We've been plagued by games where I thought he had a brilliant game plan in terms of getting the Browns to where they needed to go over the finish line. And then we also have games where you have the Seattle game. You have the game last week where you're like, I don't know what Kevin Stefanski is doing. Why are we coming out throwing the ball all these times? I'm going to tell you why he is a gift and a curse, and why it's a blessing, but at the same time, it's something that could be very bad for the Cleveland Browns too. We'll explain that coming up as well. Also, best part of the show. Best part of the show is with you guys. You guys get your opportunity to talk about what you want to talk about, get into the game as well. Make sure that you get your super chats in if you want to do that. We have that available, question and answer periods. And as always, we like to get the interaction here. We will be seeing some of your quotes and comments down at the bottom of the screen, the entire show, reading some of those comments so we can get your feedback. And also memberships. If you want to be part of what we're doing over here, make sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you know exactly when it is that we're coming on with breaking news. Last week a couple days ago, we had breaking news. Myles Garrett was thought to be injured, but guess what? We had an opportunity to break that news. Myles Garrett will be playing, or looks like he's going to be playing in that game. People didn't know what was going on. We were able to break that news right here at the last part of the barbershop. So without that being said, shout out and salute to everybody out there. Let's get into what we're going to talk about. This game, by the way, a lot of people say it's not a must-win football game unless it is a playoff game or your season is over the very next game. So if you don't win, the season's over, or if you don't win this game, you go home. Winner goes out, leaves town. People like to call that what we call a true must-win. I'm going to break this down for you and tell you why that's crazy. This Rams game is a must-win, period. There is a whole hell of a lot of difference between being 7-5 and 8-4. And one of the things that we looked at earlier this season, this is why I always tell people when it comes to people playing the scheduled game is cooler than the beginning of the season. But when you get to November and you get to early December, that scheduled game becomes spooky. And let me just show you exactly why this is a must-win football game. Let's go ahead and put Exhibit A. Let's go ahead and look at Exhibit A. Now, when you're doing this week one, everybody week one got the scheduled game where you're doing the wins and losses, and this is going to be great, and we're going to win this game. I got the Browns going 12 and something. I got the Browns winning 13 games. Here's where the schedule game actually really counts. It's hard to believe we already in week 13. So hard to believe we were in week 13. it feels like just yesterday we was like playing, I remember it like it was yesterday. It was just like, yo, we playing the Bengals the first game of the season. But take a look at where we're at right now. Week 13. We got this game against the Bengals coming up. And you are now sitting at 7-4. You look at week 14 at home. Jacksonville is playing good ball. Trevor Lawrence, Etienne, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley. They have a guy, Josh Allen is a pass rusher. I believe he has 12, 13 sacks. They're playing good ball right now. That game December 10th at home is not a layup, especially because you still have musical chairs at quarterback. We'll talk about Joe Flacco coming up here in a bit. You look at that game. Now you look at the week 15. You have the Bears, and just looking at the Bears and what they've been doing all year, the Bears look like a game that you can get. If you get that game, you get to about 8 wins. Say for instance, you take an L. Just saying. Say you take an L this week, just to play devil's advocate. Then you come back home, you lose a tough game to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So now you were 7-3. You are now 7-6, right? You come into the Broncos game 7-3, you lose to the Broncos, you're 7-4. You lose this week hypothetically, you're 7-5. You play a tough game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're 7-6. You play a game against the Chicago Bears, you get to 8-6. Now look at this game, December 24th, against the Houston Texans. That game is in Houston. I've had an opportunity to watch the Texans play 3 or 4 times this year. First of all, they are playing above their head, and the crowd is tough. That crowd is excited to see that young team play. They got young energy. CJ Stroud is playing like he wants to be an all-pro his first year. Not to mention the fact that they have a raucous crowd, and let's understand this. The Texans are going to be very amped up and hyped up because one, Deshaun Watson is still on this roster. I would not be surprised if Deshaun Watson makes that trip, and that crowd is going to be into it. At the beginning of the season, you was chalking that up as a win. That is no longer a gimme here, folks. That is no longer a gimme situation right there, right? Then you take a look at the Jets game. The Jets game might be a game that you can get. But all of a sudden, when Aaron Rodgers, I'm back. I'm about to do my thing. Wouldn't it be just like the Jets to get right back and get feeling good about themselves at that game? Now, right now, as it stands, you should be able to get that game. And if you count the Bears, they put you at 9 wins, right? Say you lose to the Texans. So now you're sitting at 9-7. You gotta beat the Bengals at the end of the year. That game is on the road. That could get you to 10. But here's the thought process. See, we could cut it close like that if we want to. But the difference between 7-5 and 8-4 is a huge difference. 8-4 puts you in a position where if you stumble against a Texans team, if you lose a game against the Jaguars, which we don't want to do, you're not looking at it the same way. 8 wins gets you to a point where you say, if I get me 8 wins right now, all I got to do is beat the Bears, the Bengals, and the Jets, and we ready to go. You can get those wins. And that is why this week is very pivotal, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you got to go on the road or get these wins. You don't know what's going to happen. And I could count on it if I had Deshaun Watson or I had my starting quarterback. I could say this is a trap game. Guys, let's be locked in. Let's be dialed in. And we could get the job done. But we don't even know who that quarterback. The play calling has been a little bit erratic. I don't even know if our running game, we can hang our hat on the running game to even get that going. Because we don't seem to be able to be a team that wants to commit to the running game. So my thing is, when we looking at this situation, you got to go into LA and get this dub. If you go into LA and get this win, you not only go to 8-4, you put yourself in a good position to possibly get a home game somewhere. Right? This is all part of it, man. And a lot of people will say, well, G. Bush, come on, man. We could get this game or this game or this game. Like, it's for the Cleveland Browns, what they got to do is, if you want to be a playoff team and you want a Cinderella story, if you want a story to make a story, you ever been watching, games, right, on TV where you see a team playing and it's a team that should be losing the game. It's a team that's an underdog and they get out to a nice, strong lead on the team. Maybe they have 14 points. But also, all of a sudden, there's a couple of plays here or there, a couple of ball bounces, a couple of calls that really change the game. And you see the momentum switching. You see that team getting a little tight. And then you see then you start to see guys making plays a little bit more. The game get tight. And all of a sudden, the game is now in the balance. In order for you to be a Cinderella, in order for you to be a dark horse, you got to put that game away. Instead of getting threes, you got to get 7. When the ball hits the defensive back right in the face mask, he has to pick that off. He can't just knock it down. When a team gives you a turnover, you got to get 7 on them. And that is the thing that we look at right now with the Cleveland Browns. They have a Cinderella little story going. They're doing their thing. They've won with multiple quarterbacks. They've won with Deshaun Watson. They've won with P.J. Walker. They've won with DTR. Now they're going to have Joe Flacco coming up. We'll talk about that coming up in a bit. But looky here. That's all cool and fine and dandy. But you got to finish. You have to finish. And I've been talking about this not only in my other blogs on the barbershop and things like that. There's another reason that I talked about this is because, hang with me right quick. The Cleveland Browns got one or two ways you can look at this season. This season could be the best of times or it could be the worst of times. If the Cleveland Browns don't make the playoffs after starting 7-3, look at all the question marks that you have moving forward. Instead of feeling good getting to the playoffs and doing what you need to do, guess what happens? Now, you go into an offseason with a bunch of question marks. You don't know what you're going to do with Jack Conklin. I don't know if he can. He's been injured 3 years in a row. What are you doing with Nick Chubb's contract? Is he going to be able to come back 100%? Is he going to be, he's now torn his ACL and he's multiple times he's messed ligaments up. What about the shoulder of Deshaun Watson? We forget the rust. Just think about the contract in those things being considered. Amari Cooper's contract, what are you doing with that? $27 million? We thought we had something in terms of Donovan Peoples-Jones. Looks like you're going to have to go back to the drawing board. 5th year for Jed Wills, you already picked up, but now he wasn't playing well to start with. Teller's a year older. Batonio's a year older. Okay, should I keep going? Myles Garrett may have to have some, listen, trust me, Myles Garrett is going to have some sort of scope, something at the end of the year. He's going to have to do something with the shoulder. That's 2 years in a row he got the shoulder. 1-year contracts. Are you signing Maurice Hurst? Zadarius Smith, what's going on with that? Are you re-signing him? You got to find more. See how this works? We haven't gotten any other questions. We haven't answered none of that. We still don't know what the offense look like with Deshaun Watson. We still don't know if we are a running team or a passing team. And that new playbook that we're supposed to have with Kevin Stefanski and Elijah Moore being the guy that was going to take over for Amari Cooper, that didn't look like it's come to fruition. But on the other hand, you make the playoffs, guess what? If you make the playoffs, you feel a lot better about a bunch of stuff. You can go into the offseason and say, we went to the playoffs and we actually were competitive with 4 different quarterbacks. Both of our tackles have been out. We didn't even have our best playmaker, Nick Chubb, and we still played well in the division, and got to the playoffs. Look at the difference in the optimism in that. Because now you know, okay, our coach is good enough to coach his way out of a situation when you don't have your best, when you hit adversity, when everything is down. He won us 2 or 3 games. The defense won us a couple games. Now you start talking about the culture of the Cleveland Browns, and you feel better about question marks going into the next year because you've already seen that you can answer question marks. You've seen you can win with quarterbacks that are run of the mill, right? And so that's why it's key that the Cleveland Browns must make the playoffs this year. And it starts with this Rams game. Kevin Stefanski did not have his best game. We all know that. The defense did not have their best game. We know that. The run game, it looked like Greg Newsome got picked on a little bit. It looked like the Broncos found something in the run game. We all know that. But the mark of a good playoff team is they don't do it 2 in a row. The mark of a playoff team is you had a tough one in Denver. You come back against the Rams in a place where you're going to have a lot of Browns players and then a lot of Browns travelers there, because we know the Rams, that place is going to be 60% Browns fans. You got an opportunity. And you got an opportunity with a guy that I think is going to play well, and that is Joe Flacco. We'll get to that in the next segment here. But before we do get to Joe Flacco, let's get to your thoughts. Let's get to him. Where we go? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get it here. Let's get. Yes, sir. G. Bush in the house. Michael, I feel really, I feel real optimistic about this game. And I actually couldn't wait to get to the section about Joe Flacco. I didn't feel really well about the game last week or yesterday. Or I said yesterday, last week with the Broncos. I just didn't feel good. I thought it was a bad matchup. I thought Russell Wilson was playing his best football. I think Sean Payton had a great game plan ready for us, and we traditionally didn't play well. And the thing is, when you're talking about DTR, and I like DTR's upside, and I think DTR going to do his thing. I think DTR is going to make a name for himself in this league. But I think when you have a rookie quarterback, it's just uphill. And we're going to get into a lot of stuff that I took from Leroy and a lot of other guys as talking about the game, why I didn't feel well about it, and why I think that Joe Flacco will play better than what DTR did, even though I thought DTR played a really good game, especially if they would have caught the football when they should have. Yes, sir. My B says, I think the Browns are staying on the West Coast where we focus the team down the stretch. Yeah, I like them staying out there. This is definitely a business trip. I like them staying out there. Tim Harsh says, did the Browns run office name Flacco to starter for the Rams game? G. Bush. Well, here's the thing. DTR is not, as I put my headphones in, DTR has not practiced today. They named Joe Flacco as the second team above PJ Walker. So in the event that DTR doesn't play, you still get Joe Flacco, who's going to probably start. And at this point, Mary Kay was on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I'm riding with her. I wouldn't start DTR. First and foremost, it's Thursday. He has not practiced. I think when you're a rookie quarterback and you need reps and you need a game plan tailored to what you do, I think you need those reps. And I think the fact that he's in a concussion protocol, did not take those reps, I would not play him. So from all the tea leaves that we getting, that I'm hearing, I think Joe Flacco is going to be the guy that's going to be starting against the Rams. Let's see. Steven, I hope we see Flacco perform well before we declare him the starter for the rest of the year. Here's why I'm going to say. I'm going to give you a very riveting, persuasive reason why Joe Flacco should be the quarterback for the rest of the year. I'll tell you that. Nicole D said it's a must-win. We're only one game ahead of the wild card race. Everyone else is in the hunt, and we have an easy remaining schedule. Correct. I think that's another thing too. I think the Steelers is right behind you. And Nicole, this is the thing I'm saying as well. If there's ever been a time that you want to make the playoffs, it's this year. I've been saying this for a while, and Jay, I give him credit for it. There's a lot of my cohorts like Bull and he believes he got to have a crazy quarterback and they throw for 4,000, 5,000 yards. I'm starting to see defenses adjust now. The game is cyclical. It's coming back around. And what I'm seeing now is if you can run the football, just look what the Broncos did. They got 70 hung on them. You know what Sean Payton said? Let's run that ball. Let's run play action. Let's play good defense. Those things are now coming back to the forefront in football. And right now, you look at as an opportunity that the Bills might not make the playoffs, and Josh Allen, Justin Herbert and the Chargers may not make the playoff. Joe Burrow's out for the entire year. You got to miss on Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers towards Achilles. Look at all the guys. There's a mess out in Las Vegas where you thought Garoppolo and some of the pieces of parts they had in Las Vegas was going to do their thing. That's now done. Their coach is fired. Just look around. We've already seen Pickett. We know he's not a guy that's just going to come and roll over and destroy people. And for that matter, let's take a look at the Kansas City Chiefs. I've not been impressed with the Kansas City Chiefs and what they've been doing. They're still a great team. They got Andy Reid and Mahomes, but let's be clear. It ain't the old. It ain't 5 years ago Kansas City when you had Tyreek Hill that was the road runner and you had Kelsey over the middle and it was pick your poison. Jaguars foot can't wait to see them Browns next week. That's what's up, man. We ready. Hey, come on down here. Come on down here. We ready. We ready. Gino Threats said HC needs to give up play calling, period. Kool-Aid, you know what it is, man. And Carrie Smeal, we appreciate you. Thank you. We appreciate everybody. 196 people in here. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. When we come back, I'm going to let you know why I'm all in on Joe Cool. You saw the thumbnail. We're going to get to it. It's your boy G. Bush here in the barbershop on the UCSS YouTube channel. As always, it's your boy G. Bush here, and I'm always getting my hair cut at a phenomenal barbershop. Call my man Jason. If you need a fade, you need that lineup, you need that beard shape up, Jason's the guy, man. You can schedule an appointment today, 216-385-8861. Nobody's waiting in line all the time no more. We got appointments. It's the 21st century. Get you an appointment. See them at 11827 Detroit Avenue, Lakewood, Ohio, 44107. Phenomenal Barbershop is the barber of G. Bush and the barbershop. Make sure you go down there. Listen, they got everything for everybody. They got something for the guys, the kids, family friendly. They don't do a bunch of cursing. They don't do a bunch of barbershop talk, but they will talk your ear off about some football and some Browns football. And the ladies can definitely get their hair done too over there. And I'm always saying, make sure you get it together. Jason, call him now at Phenomenal Barbershop. And Phenomenal Barbershop, the barber of G. Bush and the barbershop. Welcome back on in. G. Bush in the building. Talking a little Browns, man. 191 people in here. Make sure you hit that like button. Don't you forget. I still got giveaways coming up. I got another t-shirt that I'm dropping. I got another fire concept that I'm dropping. My artist is working on it right now. On the lookout for that because we will have some new barbershop gear. We will do restart our giveaways coming up here in a moment. So you'll get some stuff, new gear ready for a holiday season, and it'll be right on time. So make sure you keep it like we give out the most gear here in the barbershop. Let's get back to this this situation. I'm excited about this. I'm telling you why. I fully expect Joe Flacco to shine. And not only do I think Joe Flacco will shine, I think he will be the Browns starting quarterback moving forward. And there's no shot against DTR. There's no shot against him. Now, PJ Walker, we can't have PJ Walker playing no more. That is not going. We don't do that. But the reason I expect Joe Flacco to shine is because there's a certain thing to be said for somebody that's been there, seen that, done it all. There's a certain thing for somebody who has seen every defense. And one of the reasons I went to this and I started thinking about this is because on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, Leroy Horde was on. We always have Leroy. Shout out to Leroy. He said something that I thought was very important. He said, G. Bush, I thought DTR was getting fooled a lot. And I said, what do you mean he's getting fooled a lot? DTR was getting fooled a lot because when you're a rookie, you go to the line of scrimmage. And one of the things that they do a really good job of in the line of scrimmage is this. They crowd the line of scrimmage. They act like they bring in the whole house. If you're in a run play, they got 9 guys in the box, and you think as a rookie, wow, we can't run against that. So you think you being proactive. You think you being intelligent. And on the surface level, you are. Nobody would run into 9-man boxes just to do it because you know it's a numbers game in the run game. You can't block all those guys. But what they start doing is blitz bluff and you creep up there and you look around. Now all of a sudden a young signal caller says, well, I got to audible into a pass play here. I got to audible into a 3-step. Something quick, get the ball. I can't run to this. And you know what happens? As soon as he checks that play, middle linebacker or the safety goes, safe. They get right out of that 9-man box, get out of that 9-man front, and drop right off in the coverage. Next thing you know, a linebacker's in the hook zone. Next thing you know, free safety's playing a robber technique. Next thing you know, you expected, all those guys to be up there to stop the run, but now the defensive end is dropping in the flats. And those run lanes that you thought were clogged up, they look real good right about now. And those passing lanes that you thought were available to yourself are no longer available. It's a mirage. Now you got 5, 6 dudes in coverage, and you're checking into a quick slant, and everybody is expecting it. There's a lot of times that I believe that DTR came to the line of scrimmage, and there may have been a run play call. However, the pre-snap read is what got them out of that play. The pre-snap read or misdiagnosis from DTR led to it led to more pass plays than it should have been. Disproportionate. Given the fact that they were on the road and it's a rookie quarterback. 16 carries to running backs. I can't expect that. I can't expect that. I can't expect that to be what's the name? Can't expect that to be that to be the honest. That was the game plan. That is not what it's looking like. So Leroy, when he said that, it was really crazy. It got me to thinking, why am I excited about seeing Joe Flacco play? Well, the reality is the reason that Joe Flacco is going to handle himself well is he's not going to be fooled by that. He's not going to be fooled by guys just jumping at the line of scrimmage and doing what they need to do. He's not going to be able to do that. Joe Flacco's seen it all. Joe Flacco knows what the coverages are. Joe Flacco has been there. He's been there when his crowd is loud. He's been there when defenses try to confuse him. And that's one thing that I'm excited about is because I know for a fact that Joe Flacco not going to fold up like that. I know for a fact Joe Flacco ain't going to fold up and be confused. You're not going to hear them say, oh my gosh, Joe Flacco's going to want that one back. He was totally fooled. No, he's not. He wasn't totally fooled about nothing, right? The only problem you have with Joe Flacco is, one, is he going to have enough time to complete the ball downfield? 2, is he going to be rusty? What is his mechanics like in order to get the ball there? And 3, does he still have enough in the tank to do it? And as you listen to Alex Van Pelt, the first thing that jumps out at you when he talks about Joe Flacco is his arm. Still has a big arm, still has a guy that can push the ball downfield. And so in this game, it's very interesting because I'm looking at it like this. This is easy money. Not to say that it's easy money that they're going to win or that Joe Flacco's going to throw for 400 yards. He gives you an element that, to be truthful, we haven't had all year. Ask yourself this. Who has more experience? Flacco? Who had more experience? Flacco or Deshaun Watson? We talk about Deshaun Watson sitting out 2-3 years, right? Flacco been out this year, but he's seen it all. Let me ask you a question. Whose judgment do you trust better? DTR's or Flacco's? I got to go with Flacco. Let me ask you about ball security. We sure know what P.J. Walkers do. P.J. Walker will give you something in a heartbeat. He came into the game dropping the ball. Just came in giving it up, right? Who do you trust more? Flacco or P.J. Walker? You see, sometimes you could get told and really make yourself and really talk yourself into something. The first thing Joe Flacco's, he's old. If Joe Flacco has to play, the Browns are done. You know what? That's cliche radio talk. That's cliche radio talk. Who'd you hear saying that? Because when you sit back and you really go break it down, the last time I saw Joe Flacco he was dusting us off with 4 touchdowns and 300 plus yards. Not saying he's going to do that against the Rams, but let's not act like he's not more equipped to give you lightning in a bottle over PJ Walker or DTR. Because that's just false. Joe Flacco will come into this game. He may have a little rust on him, but there's certain things that you can get from Joe Flacco. There's certain plays, there's certain audibles, there's a certain level of calm of a guy who's won a Super Bowl walking into that huddle saying, all right, let's go, guys. Let's go. Let's get down to this field and let's get this touchdown. It's just different. It's just different. It's a level of respect. I fully expect him to play well. I expect him to get the ball out on time. I expect him not to be fooled. And that is more than what I could say for a lot of our quarterbacks that have been playing and led us to a 7-3 record, 7-4 record. I tell you what. What do you say? We'll get to you guys here. Thoughts? Let's see. Gee, they should catch the ball now. Yeah, they done had a lot of crazy drops too. They better listen. They better have their mind together. We tired of these drops, bro. Nicole D says, I think Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Denver, Houston can all reach 10 wins. You got listen. It's going to be a race to the finish. Mike B says, curious to see how coach will be able to bounce back and keep players locked in after a bad loss, injuries, staying out west. I agree. Bengals pretty washed without Burrow. I think so too. Which, by the way, let me give Kevin Stefanski. He's such a Jekyll and Hyde. Like, there's a lot I like about Kevin Stefanski that is like he's grown on me, but there's still some things that like I just don't get still. Like this. I'll give him credit. Joe Burrow got injured for the Bengals, and their season's done. Chalk it up. Finish. You already see him. Just think about how impressive it is that not only we lost to Deshaun Watson, but we didn't play with P.J. Walker and DTR. And our best offensive weapon was Nick Chubb, but we haven't played without him since week 2. That's the equivalent of the Bengals losing Jamar Chase as well as Joe Burrow and all of their starting linemen. Think about how bad not bad, but think about how undermanned they look without Joe Burrow. And just think about what the Browns have missed compared to other teams. You got to give him some sort of credit for that. Got to give him credit for that. Let's see. Hey, OT gained. He said, look, I remember when Joe Flacco used to carve us up. He's a seasoned veteran. Man, them games, look, think about it. We used to get carved up by Roethlisberger. We used to get carved up by Flacco, and Andy Dalton used to eat us up. You telling me he can't have a lightning in a bottle here or there? Huh? Let's see. Jay Bavis. Hello, G. Bush. My thing is, how well can Flacco play if he has no mobility? He's going to get killed because of the line. Dude is 50 years old. In football years, I'm hoping I'm wrong. Well, here's where you got to think about it like this. Jay, you're going to now have to play the way I've been telling you you're going to have to play. See, sometimes when you got mobile quarterbacks, it gives you false sense of security because you'll say, let me call this pass play, move the pocket around. And I could always tell my quarterback, guess what? If there's nothing there, take off and book. Take off and run, right? When you got a quarterback who's older and he's not mobile, now you're going to have to run the football. Now you're going to have to utilize play action. You're going to have to max protect. You're going to have to lead with the run first because you can't be in obvious passing downs and you cannot be behind the sticks. So now it almost works in a way. When you have a DTR, when you have a PJ Walker, you got other things that you're willing to try, like RPOs, read options, quarterback runs, all that good stuff. But see, when you got a quarterback like Flacco, you must play to your strengths because there's no realm of possibility that he's going to be out there running around. And that's why I'm also encouraged a little bit with that on the other side is it's going to force Kevin Stefanski to really play within his means. There it is. We won't be running no triple reversals with Joe Flacco. Perfect. That's exactly what I'm talking about. All that razzle-dazzle stuff, we bread and butter. We meat and potatoes. And guess what, guys? It's not necessarily a bad thing. Go look at the way the teams is playing now. When they get to be November and December, good luck throwing the football all around the park and all these vertical routes. Ain't nobody doing that. Ain't nobody doing that. You saw what the Broncos did to us. Jerry Howard, Browns are beat up on both sides of the ball. Give Flacco to start. DTR does not need to take another hit. DTR is going to be our franchise quarterback quicker than you think. Bet. Jerry, there's a good chance of that. We'll see what Deshaun Watson has to say about that, but I thought DTR played a really good game, and I thought he showed that he has something. I thought he really showed that he has something. Coming back. Let's get to this. Coming back. Let me talk about the gift and the curse a little bit with Kevin Stefanski. We talked about the play calling. We talked about Flacco. Let me give you the gift and the curse and why at some points I'm like, man, this dude Kevin Stefanski don't know what the heck he's talking about. But in other times I'm like, this might be a dope little experiment for you this week with Joe Flacco. We'll explain coming up next. It's G. Bush here on the UCSS YouTube channel. You know what it is. It's your boy G. Bush right back at it. It is G. Bush for the great people at Honda in Great Lakes Honda West out in Elyria. The great thing about it is, sometimes you don't have good credit. Sometimes your credit situation is not where it needs to be. But guess what you can do? Sometimes when you're working with the people that know how to work it, you could get something off. And that's where my man Sullivan Rogers comes in at Great Lakes Honda, man. If you got slow play, if you could prove that you don't got any late payments on your credit report, you can walk off the lot with a 2024 Honda, and we know how great Hondas are. Them things keep their value. They drive like a beauty. And guess what? that keep their car value as well. All you got to do is change the oil on them. If you got slow pay, if you have any sort of issues with any bankruptcies, any of that good stuff, go down and see my people at Great Lakes Honda West. Tell them G. Bush sent you so you can get that hookup, and let them know Sullivan Rogers that, yo, I heard you, G. Bush. I heard G. Bush say, go get a Honda, and he says you that guy, and I'm telling you, he is. Great Lakes Honda West, and he a proud sponsor of the barbershop. All right, so we talked about it. We got into it. Let's get to this. One of the things with the Browns, and I think Kevin Stefanski is a gift and a curse. And I say, what do you mean the gift and the curse? You look at a game where he has the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at the Pittsburgh Steelers game, and I thought he played I coined it a very dangerous game. We all seen the Matrix before. You got the Architect and the Oracle, and at the end of the Matrix Revolutions, obviously the machine war was over, and Neo made a deal to get rid of Agent Smith, who became too powerful. And you see the Oracle and the Architect together at the end, and the Architect says, you played the dangerous game, didn't you? And she's like, of course I did, right? And what I mean by playing a dangerous game is I thought he did a really good job in Pittsburgh of making sure that DTR got the ball last, didn't do anything to give up the game, and they played as close to the vest and said, we'll match you punt for punt, kick for kick, trestle ball one-on-one, and I think I got the best defense. I got the better defense, and they were able to win that game. But then there's also the curse. You come back the very next week, DTR on the road in Denver, and all of a sudden, you out here throwing the football. You come out slinging the ball. I believe it was 6 of the first 7 plays, they're slinging the ball. Passes. And I'm like, what? What are you doing? What are you doing, Kev? What's on your sheet? What are you exactly running? And with Kevin Stefanski, I've learned that he has a gift and a curse. And the gift and the curse is we don't necessarily understand or know what our offense is. What are the Browns? I ask all the time. Are we a vertical team? Are we a outside zone team? Are we a spread them all out, go 5 wide and do our thing? Are we a team that is a power running team? Are we a balanced team? What are we? And I've been critical of them about having no offensive identity to hang their hat on in order to, when there's crunch time and there's things going wrong, you can always line up and say, this is what we do, and we do it well. Stop us. But now you got Joe Flacco coming into the game. And that same lack of identity might actually work out for the Browns this week. You say, well, how does that work? Kevin Stefanski has called plays for a plethora of different type of quarterbacks. From your Case Keenums to dink and dunk guys, to the Baker Mayfields with the bootleg game, to the Deshaun Watson with the 5 wide spread them out, to the PJ Walker, to the DTR. Think about how many games the Browns have started different quarterbacks. And all of the game plans are different. All of the quarterbacks have different skill sets. They have different comfort zones, comfort levels, right? And he hasn't even really truly had his bell cow, Nick Chubb, to lean on to say we are a power running team. It don't matter who we got at quarterback. So now when you put a guy like Joe Flacco into the game, it's almost like the Browns are comfortable being uncomfortable. They're comfortable with not necessarily knowing who's going to be quarterback. And that works to a certain extent. Because instead of you doing, calling plays and getting into what you do best and just being very predictable, if I was playing the Cleveland Browns, I don't know what Joe Flacco wants to do. The playbook has to be different from what they was doing with DTR, right? And so there's something to be said for the fact that there's some versatility and there's some things that the Cleveland Browns can do that other teams have not had to do. Right now, if Patrick Mahomes goes out, what the heck is Andy Reid calling? If Jalen Hurts goes down, what are they calling in Philadelphia? Let me ask you that question. If Brock Purdy goes down, what are they running in San Francisco? I can say the same for Dallas. What playbook do you have? The Cleveland Browns have done that on the fly with hundreds of quarterbacks, it seems. And they've been comfortable winning football games ugly and comfortable winning uncomfortably. So there's something to be said for Kevin Stefanski having, a lack of identity. He likes to throw the ball all around the park. Sometimes he gets zany and crazy with his tight end quarterback sneak stuff and reverses when God knows we should just be handing the ball off regularly. But sometimes, even maybe this week, that might come into handy because I don't know what they would be running. What would you be running with Joe Flacco? I think it's an anomaly. I think people don't know. And that's the kind of funny part about it is because when I look at the Browns, I'm always kind of excited to watch them play because truly, I just don't know what they're running. I don't know what they're going to run. You're going to turn the TV on just like I am this week and not have no clue what the playbook going to look like, right? But then again, the good thing about it is I don't think the defense knows either. I don't think the defense knows either, right? Let's get to your comments. Let me see and pull this down. Pull that down. It's one of them things, man. Let's see. Let me get to some of this. Get a couple comments in here. 250 people in here. Make sure you hit the like button for your boy. Hit the like button real quick. Cost you nothing. This is Tempe 1D said, this is how you convince yourself that doo-doo is really delicious. Didn't watch his actual performance last year. Flacco was just as bad as Wilson. Facts, but doo-doo is brown like the chocolate. Here's the thing. I mean, I guess if you're a kid, saying doo-doo works, but I don't want to get demonetized. Here's the thing. In football, it's all about complementary football. It's not about whether or not, he was great last year or what he was last year. The goal is to make sure that you can maximize him this year. The goal is to take what he does best and project that to the field. Believe it or not, experience counts for something. Believe it or not, I mean, I've seen backup quarterbacks play well down the stretch. I've seen, listen, everybody laughed at Russell Wilson. He was washed, he was done last year, right? Until he wasn't done. Now they're the hottest team in the league. It's easy to dismiss stuff, but the Cleveland Browns have been winning games with quarterbacks worse than Joe Flacco. So how do you explain that? They've been winning with P.J. Walker. They've been winning with no quarterback at all. So the thought process that somehow you're talking yourself into something, no. It's called this, when you go between those lines, the way you come up with a game plan and formulate how you're going to play counts. Ain't nobody throwing, go check the league. Who's ripping it up for 400 yards? Not really nobody. The Browns are 7-4. They got a great opportunity to go 8-4. If I could see, and if I pick PJ Walker to beat the 49ers when they were undefeated, I'm not going to be surprised that Joe Flacco plays well. Thank you. The doo-doo threw 4 TDs and 0 picks versus the Browns in a huge win. So, yeah, I'll take the 6-6 Super Bowl MVP doo-doo over PJ 11 days out of 10. There you go. Talk that talk. Because I was there when he went down the field on our vaunted defense, down after down, and threw for 300 yards and 4 touchdowns. See, we can talk all we want in the comment section, but in reality, I've seen him do it. He has a 10-1 record against the Browns. Seen him do it. Yeah, the Jets didn't re-sign him even after their bad QB play. Makes you wonder. Here's the thing, too. Y'all gotta start going by this. Y'all can't base everything you see on your team based on other teams. The Jets ain't no good. Like, just because the Jets made an idiot decision, don't mean, like, it's all about what you got and what you're doing. The Jets didn't have a good roster. The Jets didn't have a good offensive line. The Jets didn't have a lot of stuff go right for them. Once again, it's not about what you did in another system. You get paid to coach people up too. There's some things you could work with Joe Flacco. You can't go around saying, well, that guy, there's a reason nobody else, I don't know about that. There's lots of bad organizations, right? Like there's bad businesses that go out of business every single day. Just because they didn't do something does not mean that it won't work for you because you're your system. But then again, you have to believe in culture. So for the Cleveland Browns to get where they want to go to, we got to start seeing the wins pile up. And then what'll start happening is the Browns will make a move. And just because nobody else didn't make a move, now you feel like you're a leader because you have a culture. You're going to say, well, it don't matter if nobody else did that. I believe in what we have as a foundation here. I believe in what we see. I believe in our scouting. I believe in our coaching staff being able to coach guys up. I always say it. JOK is playing like an all-pro right now. DeQuell Jackson, one of the Ring of Honor members for the Cleveland Browns, one of the best linebackers in the franchise history, he said he played so bad that he would cut him. But you know what? See, don't it be funny how Apple just be listening? Y'all need to stop spying on people. But DeQuell Jackson said I would cut him. But guess what? Jim Schwartz came in. He's playing like an all-pro. Coaching matters. Scouting matters. Development matters. Play calling matters. Schemes matter. Everything isn't in a vacuum. Man, these chats are like people with ADHD. Everybody just wants to keep talking, but nobody wants to communicate. You're right. Got to communicate. You got to use your head. Oh, man. That's so funny, man. Now y'all want Joe Flacco to lead his playoffs. Last week he was trash and he has to be DTR. Y'all funny, amazing when you have no choice. People speak different. Here's the thing. Sometimes it gets me because it's hard to explain to people that football is a team sport. We've boiled it down to quarterback, coach. That's what we boil it down to. There's no strategy involved, none. When DTR played and he's a rookie, there's a certain way you have to play with DTR to get wins. When PJ Walker came into the game, there's a certain way you got to play with PJ Walker if you want to win. When Deshaun Watson is there, there's a certain way you can play, and you have to play for you to win with Deshaun Watson. There's a certain way you have to play with Joe Flacco in order to win football games. What we got to understand as a fan base is this. It ain't about putting your money behind your favorite player. It ain't about being like, I like DTR, I like PJ Walker, I don't like Joe Flacco. It's all hands on deck. Everybody. We need to all be ready to go. If your number is called, be ready to play. And this is the way you need to play to get a win. I don't care if they got to play 9 quarterbacks in the game. If PJ Walker, DTR, and Flacco got to play in the game, guess what? Let's do it. The Cleveland Browns are here. We at the doorstep. They are 7-4. Our goal right now isn't to pick your favorite color, who you like the most, who you don't think can play well. We got to get to a point where we ready to go and we ready to play. And we can and we ready to rally behind whoever is taking these snaps. Because guess what? This is Myles Garrett last year, and that was him trying to tackle Joe Flacco. And it didn't work for us really well in the end when they came back with less than 2 minutes to go, down 2 scores. My thing is this. Instead of trying to figure out why somebody is good and why somebody is bad, let's talk about why and how we can get to where we want to go as a unit. And whether you like it or not, Joe Flacco is what you got now. So let's talk about how Joe Flacco could be successful and get to 8-4 with the Cleveland Browns and win ugly like we've been winning. You know what it is. I think Kevin tries to work around the strengths and weaknesses of starting quarterback, but if the quarterback changes in games, it's hard for the offense to pivot. Look, I give him credit for some things. We can argue about play calling a lot and different things like this, but there's one thing to be said for it. The Cleveland Browns, and this is the thing that you can always remember and remember and remind yourself to make yourself feel better about a lot of things. Right now, the Minnesota Vikings, they're without Kirk Cousins. Their season's over. You know that. Right now, you know good and well the Indianapolis Colts ain't going nowhere. Season's over. You already know the Bengals ain't going nowhere. Season's done. How many people have quarterbacks? The Jets season was over from day one. The only team that can say that they lost their starting franchise quarterback, their best playmaker, their starting tackles, left and right, and can say that they still is in contention for the top playoff spot, AFC wild card or the division, is the Cleveland Browns. That's it. Hate it or love it, it is what it is. You could get mad about some reverses, and I will do that, and I'll continue to get mad about the reverses if it's stupid play calling. But one thing you cannot deny, none of these other teams is where they are with the caliber of wins that we've got, with the caliber of quarterbacks. To beat a team like the 49ers, to go into Baltimore and beat the Baltimore Ravens, to play a tough Steelers team with a rookie quarter, all these different things to beat the Bengals, it's difficult. Nobody else can say that. So at the end of the day, you can call it what you want. Respect it is, whatever respect is given. But at the end of the day, can't nobody else really say that. Said it earlier, the Browns defensive team is the best I've seen since the OJ trial. Flacco's all we really right to now to win. And guess what? Just take the name off the back and put just quarterback, whatever. All you need is mediocre quarterback play. And the Cleveland Browns can possibly do something that nobody think they could have done. And this year, don't mean next year they're going to be able to do it. But in this climate, this AFC, with that defense, the Browns got just as good a chance as anybody. With that being said, I want to thank everybody for pulling up on me. It's your boy G Bush in the barbershop. Hey, man, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And don't forget, coming up, Behind the Glass, a special recorded episode of Behind the Glass will be out today. Make sure you guys go check that out. And make sure you guys go support Behind the Glass. With that being said, you never know when G Bush is going to show up. I can be anywhere. But one short thing you can do is listen for the Clippers. Peace.